2 years ago, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I knew I didn't want to spend the rest of my life working a job that I was currently in, but apart from that, I was completely winging it. I was surrounded by people who weren't building anything. Every weekend looked the same. I spent way too much time worrying about girls. I couldn't even spend a day on my own without needing to distract myself. I kept looking for the thing that was going to change my life, without realising I needed to change first. I spent the next 2 years trying. Some things worked, most things didn't, but eventually, everything started to make sense. I'm 24 now. I live in Bali. I run my own dream business. I can work from wherever I want. I can go wherever I want. And I genuinely wake up excited to start my day. And looking back, there are 10 lessons that changed absolutely everything for me. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking each one of those down in depth to show you exactly how you can do the same. So I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you're probably not where you want to be in life right now. Because if you were, you probably wouldn't be here, right? Maybe you're working a job you don't enjoy. Maybe you're spending more time chasing women than chasing a future you're actually proud of. Maybe you know you're capable of more, but you've got no idea where to put your time or what you actually should be focusing on. So if any of that sounds like you, then I made this video for you. Because I'm only 24, right? And just a couple of years ago, I was exactly where you are right now. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew I wanted more. More freedom, more money, more purpose. But I just didn't have a fucking clue how to get there. And fast forward to today, I run my dream business. I live wherever I want. I decide where I work. I decide when I work. If I wake up tomorrow and I want to disappear to another island for a couple of months, I can. Not because I got lucky, but because I started making a handful of decisions that completely changed the entire direction of my life. Now, I'm not sat here pretending that I've got my life completely figured out, because I haven't. I've still got a lot to learn myself. But there are 10 lessons that completely changed my 20s. And if I'd known them sooner, I genuinely think I'd be so much further ahead than I am today. So if you are serious about building a life with more freedom, more confidence, more money, and becoming the kind of man you're actually proud to be, let's get straight into number one. Build yourself before you chase anybody else. If there's one thing I wish I understood earlier, it's this. Your 20s are for building yourself, you, not chasing everybody else. I see so many lads making the same mistake. They spend all their time chasing women, looking for validation, thinking that once they've got the girlfriend, then everything else will fall in place. But it doesn't. Because if you're not happy with yourself now, a relationship isn't going to fix that. The truth is, right, the woman you actually want isn't looking for somebody who's got no direction, no ambition, or no purpose. She's looking for somebody who's building something, somebody who's disciplined, somebody who's confident, somebody who's got a life she's excited to become a part of. So instead of asking yourself, how do I get the girls? Start asking yourself, am I actually becoming the man that I want to be in order to attract that girl? Because that's what changed everything for me. I stopped worrying so much about finding the right person. I started focusing on building the right life, going to the gym, building my business, learning valuable skills, taking care of myself, keeping my promises to myself. And as I started becoming somebody I was genuinely proud of, everything else started changing as well. My confidence changed, my standards changed, the people I attracted changed. I ended up meeting someone who genuinely exceeded what I thought I was looking for. Not because I spent more time chasing women. I spent less time. I spent less time chasing women, less time than I ever have, because I spent more time building myself, focusing on myself, leveling up internally. The right relationship should be a bonus, not your entire mission. Your mission is becoming the kind of man who's capable of creating an incredible life. Because once you've got that, everything else becomes a lot easier. Now, number two, learn a skill that actually prints money. Now, it's vague, but this is probably one of the biggest turning points of my life. Because the moment you learn a skill that's valuable, you stop relying on somebody else to decide what you're worth. When I was younger, I thought the only way to make more money was to work more hours, doing more overtime, maybe get a fucking promotion. But there's a ceiling to that. Eventually, you run out of fucking hours in a day. The biggest shift for me was realizing that the internet has completely changed the game. Today, you don't need to invent the next Facebook. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need loads of money to get started. You just need skills that people are willing to pay for. If I was starting all over again today, there are 4 skills I'd become obsessed with. Sales, marketing, personal branding, and monetization. Because once you know how to communicate, once you know how to attract attention, once you know how to build trust online, and once you know how to build an offer that people actually want to buy, you've got skills that can completely change your life. Those 4 skills are the reason I live the life I live today. They've allowed me to build my dream business, work from anywhere I want in the world, meet incredible people, and create opportunities that never would have existed if I stayed exactly where I was. And that's also why those are the exact skills we focus on inside of the top 1%. Not because they're trendy, because these are leverage. You can take them with you wherever you go in your life. You can use them to build your own business. You can use them to build your own personal brand. You can use them to help other businesses grow. Nobody can sack you from a skill that you've mastered. Nobody can take it away from you. And once you've got these skills, you've got options. You stop asking yourself, how do I make money? And you start asking, what do I want to build? And that's a completely different way of thinking. So if you're spending hours every day scrolling social media, imagine where you'd be in a year's time if you spent those exact same hours mastering just one of these 4 skills instead, one by one. Because one skill can change the entire direction of your life. Number 3, your friends decide your future. Now, I know people hate hearing this, but your environment matters way more than most people realize. Take a second and think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. What do they talk about? Do they talk about ideas, or do they talk about other people? Do they push you, or do they pull you backwards? Do they make you want to become better, or do they make you feel guilty for even trying? Because whether you realize it or not, you're slowly becoming more like your friends every single day. I had mates that were happily doing the exact same thing every weekend, going out, spending all their money, talking about the same people, complaining about the same job, then doing it all over again the next week. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If that's genuinely the life you want, then do that. But it wasn't the life I wanted. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to build something. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to wake up excited about what I was working on. And I realized something. If I wanted a different life, I couldn't keep surrounding myself with people who were happy with the life I was trying to leave behind. That doesn't mean you think you're better than everybody else. It just means your goals are different. Find people who raise your standards. People who make building a business feel normal. People who talk about opportunities instead of excuses. People who celebrate your wins instead of taking a piss out of you every single time you try. Most importantly, because ambition is contagious, just like mediocrity is. If everyone around you is improving, you're naturally going to improve. If everyone around you is settling, eventually you're going to settle too. One of the biggest reasons I built the top 1% wasn't just to teach people skills. It was to bring people together who are all trying to build something bigger than themselves. Because when you're surrounded by ambitious people, you think bigger, you move faster, and you hold yourself to a higher standard. And that changes your life far more than most people realize. Now, number 4, stop living for Fridays. Now, this one might upset a few people, but if your favorite day of the week is Friday, you've got a bigger problem than you fucking realize. Think about it for a second. If you spend all week counting down for 2 days, what does that say about the other 5? You're literally wishing your life away. I used to do the exact same thing, and that's why I say this. Only 3 more days. Thank fuck it's Friday. Back to work Monday, and then before you know it, another week's gone, another month's gone, another fucking year's gone, and still nothing's changed. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can never go out. I'm not saying you can't have a drink with your mates. That's not the point. The point is, if every weekend is about escaping your life, maybe it's your life that needs changing. Because the goal isn't to build a life where you need a holiday every couple of months just to feel happy. The goal is to build a life where you actually enjoy your Mondays. Mondays are my favorite fucking days of the week. And to be honest, I don't even fucking know what day it is most of the time. Because I work 7 days a week. Because I fucking love what I do. Because I have these. I'm building my business. I'm helping people build theirs. And that is exactly how I love to live my 20s. Where you wake up excited to work on something. Where your business, your content, your training and your goals give you a reason to get out of bed. That's what I call freedom. And here's the crazy part. Most people spend more time planning the next holiday than planning the next 5 years of their life. They spend hours finding the perfect hotel, but they've got no idea where they actually want to be by the time they're fucking 30. So if that is you, change it. Use your weekends to build, learn a skill, film content, read a book, network, train, work on your business. Still enjoy yourself, don't get me wrong, but stop making the weekend the highlight of your entire life. Because when you build a life you actually love, every single day starts feeling a little bit more like Friday. Now, number 5, get comfortable being on your own. And this is probably one of the most underrated lessons on the list. You see, most people are terrified of being on their own. The second they've got 5 minutes to themselves, the phone comes out, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, messages, and I was one of them. Anything to avoid settling in your own thoughts. But here's what I realized. If you can't enjoy your own company, you probably haven't built a life you're actually proud of yet? Some of the biggest decisions I've ever made didn't come from being around loads of people. They came when I was on my own, thinking, reflecting, asking myself uncomfortable questions. Questions like, what do I actually want? Am I happy? If nothing changed over the next 5 years, would I actually be proud of the life I'm living? Most people never ask themselves those questions because they're too scared, too distracted. They're constantly consuming, constantly entertained, constantly busy. But busy doesn't always mean you're moving forward. Sometimes it just means you're avoiding making decisions. Learn to spend time on your own. Go for a walk without headphones. Sit in a coffee shop with a notebook. Train on your own. Travel somewhere on your own. Give yourself space to think. And one more thing. Being alone and being lonely aren't the same thing. You can have loads of people around you and still feel completely lost. Or you can spend a day by yourself working on your goals, working on your future, building your business, and feel more fulfilled than fucking ever. Get comfortable being on your own. Because if you're constantly looking for other people to fill the gaps in your life, you'll never build the life you actually want. Your 20s are the time to figure out who you are, not to lose yourself trying to fit in with everyone else. And number 6, document your fucking life. I think this is one of the biggest opportunities our generation has, and most people completely fucking ignore it. For years I thought, I'm going to start posting when I've got bigger results, better results, when I'm more confident, when I've got a better camera. It's all bullshit because nobody follows somebody who's perfect. People follow progress. They follow the journey. They follow someone who's only a few steps ahead of where they are. Think about it. Every lesson you've learned, every mistake you've made, every challenge you've overcome, to somebody else, that's valuable. So stop waiting until you've got it all figured out and start documenting what you're actually learning today. Show people what you're building. Talk about the lessons you've learned. Share your opinions, share your experiences, because your story is the only thing nobody else can take from you. And here's what most people don't realize. Your personal brand isn't becoming famous. It's about creating opportunities. One video can lead to a client. One post can introduce you to somebody that can change your life forever. One piece of content can make more money than weeks of work. That's leverage. It's one of the best assets you can build in your 20s. Because while everybody else is out there consuming content, you're building an audience. While everybody else is watching creators, you're becoming one. And that compounds. Every post, every video, every lesson, every year, you build trust, you build credibility, you build opportunities. And that's exactly why personal branding became such a huge part of my life. Not because I wanted followers, because I wanted freedom. I wanted people to know who I was before I even spoke to them. I wanted opportunities to come to me instead of me constantly chasing them down. Your content works for you while you sleep. It introduces you to people you've never met before. It builds trust before you've ever had a conversation. So if you're serious about changing your life, don't just consume the internet. Contribute to it. You have no idea where one video could take you. Now, number 7, date with standards. This isn't really about dating. It's about standards. Because one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make is who you choose to spend your life with. The wrong person won't just waste your time. They'll distract you from becoming who you're supposed to become. I've seen people completely lose themselves in relationships, including me. Stop going to the gym, stop working on your goals, stop seeing your mates. They stop building a future they used to talk about. Everything becomes about keeping the other person happy. That's not a healthy relationship. A good relationship should make your life better, not become your entire life. The right person should support your ambition. They should push you to become a better man, not make you feel guilty every time you spend a Saturday working on your business. And that goes both ways. You should be making their life better too. You should be bringing value into their life, helping them grow, supporting their goals, providing for them, protecting them. How are you going to do that if you have no skills? That's what a real partnership looks like. I've realised something over the last couple of years. The better you become, the higher your standards naturally get. Not because you think you're better than anyone, because you've worked way too hard to let anybody else pull you backwards. So don't rush into relationships because you're lonely. Don't ignore red flags because you think someone's attractive. And don't settle because everyone around you is settling down. Be patient. Build yourself first. Build your life first. Then find somebody who's excited to build alongside you. Because the right relationship will give you peace, but the wrong one will cost you fucking years. So choose wisely. Number 8, build assets, not just income. Now, this is probably one of the biggest mindset shifts I've ever had. Most people spend their entire lives trying to earn more money, but very few people will spend time building things that keep making them money. And there's a massive difference. If you stop working, your salary stops. If you stop working, your hourly rate stops. But assets keep working. Your personal brand keeps bringing leads in. It keeps bringing in opportunities. Your audience keeps growing. Your audience stays with you. Your investments keep compounding. That's how you create freedom. When I first started, I thought making money was the goal. Now I realized building assets is the goal, because assets buy you time. They give you options. They create leverage. Think about it. A YouTube video you filmed today can bring in opportunities 2 years from now, just like this one. A piece of content can introduce you to a business partner. A personal brand can bring you clients while you sleep. That's why I don't just think about what pays me today. I think about what will pay me in the next 5 years from now. And I'd encourage you to think the same way. Instead of asking, how can I make an extra £500 this month? Start asking, what can I build this year that creates opportunities for me in the next 5? That's a completely different way of thinking. Your 20s aren't just for hearing. They're for building reputation, a network, a business, an audience, building skills. Because every single one of those things compounds. And the earlier you start, the bigger the gap becomes between you and everybody else who's thinking about their next payday. Now, number 9, take bigger risks. My handwriting's getting terrible. But if you're going to take a risk, do it in your 20s. Because this is the cheapest time in your life to find out what's possible. Most people spend years waiting for the right time. I'll start the business next year. I'll start posting when I'm more confident. I'll start posting when I've got better results. I'll quit my job when I've saved a bit more. I'll give it a go when life settles down. The problem is, life never really settles down. There's always another excuse. There's always another reason to wait, another reason to play it safe. And before you know it, 5 years have gone by and you're still standing in the exact same place you are now. Now, I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying quit a job tomorrow with no plan. I'm saying stop letting fear make every decision for you. Start the personal brand, launch a business, learn the skills, send a message, apply for the opportunity, fucking back yourself. Because even if it doesn't work the first time, you'll learn more from taking one genuine shot than you will from spending 2 years thinking about it. One thing I've realized is this: the people who build incredible lives aren't fearless. They just act before they felt completely ready. I definitely wasn't ready when I started. I didn't even know how everything was going to work out. I just knew I didn't want to look back in 10 years wishing I'd at least tried. And here's the reality. The pain of failing is temporary, but the pain of wondering what if will stay with you for years. So don't spend your 20s trying to protect the life you already have and spend them trying to build a life you actually want. Because if there's ever a time to bet on yourself, it's fucking now, right now. Now, number 10, we have find your people. Now, if there's one lesson that ties everything we've spoken about together, it's this: you become like the people you spend the most time around. Think about every point we've just covered: building yourself, learning high income skills, building a personal brand, taking bigger risks, building assets. Every single one of those things becomes easier when the people around you are doing the same thing, because your environment sets your standard. When everyone around you is making excuses feels normal. When everyone around you is settling feels normal. When you're surrounded by people building businesses, posting content, going to the gym, learning sales, learning marketing, holding each other accountable, that becomes your normal instead. That's why I genuinely believe your environment is one of the biggest cheats in life. It changes what you believe is possible. A few years ago, I didn't know anyone living the sort of life I wanted. And now I'm surrounded by people who push me to think bigger, move faster, raise my standards. And that's made a bigger difference than any book I've ever read. And it's also the exact reason I've built the top 1%. Not because the world needs another course. There's enough courses already, we know this. I built it because I wanted to create the environment I wish I had when I was starting out. A place where ambitious people could learn the exact skills that are changing the world right now. Sales, marketing, personal branding, building offers, fitness, mindset. But most importantly, a place where building a business, looking after yourself, creating freedom, and becoming the best version of yourself is fucking normal. Because that is what the top 1% actually fucking is. It's not about being better than everyone else. It's about refusing to settle for a life you know you're capable of outgrowing. So if you've watched this video and something clicked, if you're sat there thinking, I want more freedom, more confidence, more purpose, more with your life, don't just close this video and go back to doing the same things tomorrow. Actually do something with it, because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you want to build a personal brand, learn the skills that actually make you money, surround yourself with ambitious people, and build a life you don't need to escape from. That's exactly what we've built inside the top 1%. If you want to check it out, boys, you can apply in the link in the description. It's not for everyone, and it's not for everyone on purpose. It's called the top 1% for a reason. But if not, I do hope these 10 lessons saves you a few years of making the same mistakes I did. And if I don't see your application, I'll see you in the next one.